I've been driving long haul for over 10 years. I've seen everything from drunk drivers to terrible accidents. But nothing scared me enough to make me quit. Until last winter. I was driving a Peterbilt 579, hauling a full load of timber from Oregon to Nebraska. My route took me through Interstate 80 in Wyoming. If you're a trucker, you know this stretch. They call it the Big Empty for a reason. It's hundreds of miles of absolutely nothing but wind, snow, and darkness. No cell service, no lights, just you and the blacktop. It was around 2 a.m. A heavy snowstorm had just started to settle down, leaving the road slick with black ice. I was the only rig on the road for miles, or so I thought. I checked my driver's side mirror. About 100 yards back, I saw a pair of headlights. Just standard halogen lights, probably an older sedan. I didn't think much of it. I kept my cruise control at 65. 10 minutes passed. I checked the mirror again. The car was still there. Exact same distance. Usually, four-wheelers want to speed past trucks to get out of the spray. But this guy, he was pacing me perfectly. I decided to test him. I tapped my brakes and dropped to 50. The headlights behind me didn't get closer. He slowed down too, matching my speed instantly. That's when the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I reached for my CB radio to ask if any other truckers were nearby. Breaker 19, anyone copy on eastbound 80? Static, just dead. White noise static. I was in a dead zone. Another 20 miles passed. The sedan was still there. But now, he had turned off his headlights. I could barely see the dark shape of a Ford Taurus in the red glow of my taillights. He was driving blind, right on my bumper. I saw a sign for a rest area coming up in 2 miles. It wasn't a big truck stop like a Pilot or Love's. It was just one of those desolate, state-run concrete blocks with a bathroom and a vending machine. I knew it was a bad idea to stop, but I needed to know who this was. Maybe he was drunk. Maybe he needed help. I hit my turn signal. The dark car didn't signal, but it followed me onto the off-ramp. I pulled into the truck parking lane, keeping the engine running. The parking lot was empty, pitch black. The snow was falling harder now. The dark sedan pulled into the car lot about 50 yards away. It sat there, engine off, lights off. I grabbed my tire thumper, a heavy wooden club I keep by the seat, and watched the mirror. For a solid minute, nothing happened. Then, the sedan's doors opened. Not one, but 3 men stepped out. They were wearing dark hoodies. They didn't walk towards the bathroom. They started walking across the snow, directly towards my truck. One of them was holding something metallic that caught the faint light of the moon. A tire iron, or maybe a crowbar. They split up. One moved to my driver's side, one to the passenger side, and one went around back to the trailer lock. My heart hammered against my ribs. I didn't wait to see what they wanted. I slammed the truck into gear and released the air brakes. The loud hiss of the brakes made them freeze for a second. That was all I needed. I floored it. The wheels spun on the ice for a terrifying second before catching grip. I saw the man on the driver's side lunge for my door handle, but I was already moving. He slipped on the ice and fell as I roared past him back onto the highway. I didn't stop driving until I hit the Nebraska state line 3 hours later. I never saw the car again. But now, whenever I drive I-80 at night, I never look in the rearview mirror without checking for a car with its lights off. I spent the summer of 2018 working as a fire lookout in the Deschutes National Forest in Oregon. It's a job that sounds romantic, sitting in a tower above the trees, reading books and drinking coffee. But people forget the other side of it, the isolation. My post was Tower 19. It's a 70-foot metal structure miles away from civilization. At night, it's just you in a glass box, suspended in the dark sky. You feel like a fish in a tank. It was late August. A dry lightning storm had rolled in, so I was on high alert. Around 1 a.m., the rain started pounding against the windows. Visibility was terrible. I was scanning the horizon when I saw something strange to the north. About 3 miles away, there's another lookout, Tower 4. But Tower 4 has been condemned since the late 90s. The stairs are rusted out, and the windows are boarded up. Nobody goes up there. But through the rain, I saw a light. It wasn't lightning, it was steady. A warm, yellow glow, like a kerosene lantern or a candle, flickering inside the cabin of the abandoned tower. I grabbed my radio. "Dispatch, this is Tower 19. Do we have any maintenance crews out at Tower 4 tonight?" The radio crackled. "Negative, 19. That structure is unsafe. Nobody should be out there in this weather." I told myself it must be a reflection, or maybe some hikers broke in to get out of the storm. I picked up my binoculars and focused them on the distant light. My blood turned to ice. The light wasn't inside the cabin. It was on the catwalk, the outer balcony, and someone was holding it. Through the lenses, I could clearly see a tall silhouette standing on the railing of the condemned tower. They weren't looking at the storm. They were facing south, directly at me. I lowered the binoculars, hoping I was imagining it. When I looked again, the light on the tower was gone. For a second, I felt relieved. Maybe the lantern went out. But then I saw it again. The light wasn't on the tower anymore. It was down on the ground, moving through the trees, moving fast. And it was heading in my direction. I locked the trap door to my cabin and turned off my own lantern, sitting in total darkness. I listened to the wind howling through the metal legs of my tower, waiting for the sound of footsteps on the stairs. The light never reached the bottom of my tower that night. Or maybe it did, and they just decided to watch me from the tree line. I didn't sleep for a second until my shift ended at dawn. I never went back to Tower 19. People think graveyards are scary at night. They're wrong. The scariest place on Earth is a corporate high-rise after everyone goes home. It's too quiet, too clean. I worked as a janitor for a tech company in downtown Chicago. My shift was 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. For 8 hours, I was the only living soul on the 40th floor. At first, it was just small things. I'd walk into a conference room that I had cleaned the night before, and I'd find a chair spun around, facing the door. Or I'd find crumbs on a desk that belonged to a guy on vacation. I told myself it was just the day shift employees coming in early. But then, I found the smell. It was a week ago. I was vacuuming the hallway near the server room when I hit a pocket of air that made me gag. It smelled like unwashed clothes and stale food. In a sterile, air-conditioned office, that smell shouldn't exist. I followed the scent to a supply closet at the end of the hall. The door was locked. I had the master key, but for some reason, the lock wouldn't turn. It was jammed from the inside. I knocked. Maintenance. Anyone in there? Silence. Just the hum of the servers. I assumed the lock was broken and walked away to get my tools. But when I turned the corner, I heard a sound behind me. Click. The door opened. I froze. I didn't turn around immediately. I listened. I heard soft, wet footsteps on the carpet. Someone was walking out of the closet. I slowly turned my head. The hallway was empty. The closet door was wide open. I walked back slowly. Inside the closet, on the top shelf, I found a sleeping bag. There were dozens of empty tuna cans and bottles of yellow liquid. And taped to the wall were photos. Photos of me cleaning the office, taken from the vents in the ceiling. That's when I heard the ceiling tile above my head slide open. I didn't look up. I dropped my vacuum and ran for the stairwell. I didn't wait for the elevator. I ran down 40 flights of stairs and quit over the phone the next morning. They never found the guy. I worked the graveyard shift at a gas station off Route 66 in Arizona. It was one of those stops that barely exists. Just 2 pumps and a convenience store surrounded by miles of cactus and sand. It was 3:15 a.m. I was restocking the Gatorade fridge when the door chime rang. I looked up. A man walked in. He was wearing a dirty gray hoodie and jeans that looked like they hadn't been washed in weeks. But the weirdest part was that I didn't hear a car pull up. He had just walked out of the desert darkness. He didn't look at the shelves. He walked straight to the counter and stood there. I walked back behind the register. "Can I help you, sir?" He didn't answer. He just smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. It was too wide, too stiff. He stared right into my eyes, unblinking. His hands were in his hoodie pockets. "Sir?" I asked again, my hand inching towards the panic button under the counter. "Just browsing," he whispered. His voice was raspy, like he hadn't used it in days. He didn't move. He just kept smiling and staring at me. The air in the store felt heavy. The hum of the refrigerators seemed to get louder. I was so focused on him, terrified that he was about to pull out a gun. That's when I heard it. Click. A soft metallic sound coming from the back of the store, from the employees-only storage room. My heart stopped. The back door was locked. I had checked it an hour ago. I looked at the smiling man again. His eyes flickered for a second, not at me, but over my shoulder, towards the back room. His smile got wider. He wasn't the threat. He was the distraction. I didn't wait to find out who was in the back. I slammed my hand on the panic button, grabbed my keys, and ran out the front door into the desert night. I locked myself in my car and sped onto the highway until I found a state trooper. When the police went back, the store was empty. The register was untouched, but the back door, the heavy steel door, was ripped off its hinges. They weren't there for the money. They were there for me.